Today we are looking at the interior of the 2025 Acura MDX Type S Advance. Did Acura make enough changes to the interior for 2025? Let's go ahead and find out. This MDX Type S is nearly $75,000, so I do have some high expectations for this car. Starting with the door panel, this is pretty typical for an MDX. You get soft touch plastic at the top, leather through the middle part, wood trim on the upper part with 3-person memory seats, all of your controls in the normal area, and a little bit of storage down below. You have the Type S door sills. You get premium carpeted floor mats. However, you can get Type S branding if you pay extra. And let's talk about these seats. This is finished in a dark blue premium Milano leather color. You get Type S in your headrest. You get suede in your bolsters. And I love all of the white contrast stitching and the piping. This MDX Type S will have 16-way power adjusting seats. It's not the best in the class, but it's definitely going to be enough for most people. But let's talk about the rest of this interior. The steering wheel is very nicely leather wrapped in a very high quality leather with perforations on the side and a flat bottom for Type S duty. You also get Type S branding right here, and the steering wheel itself is heated and power adjusting. You have controls on this side for all of your volume controls, phone call, and everything for the center infotainment system, and you get some safety controls on this side. The gauge cluster is going to remain unchanged. So it's obviously going to be able to change with the drive modes. So if you change different drive modes, that is going to adjust the gauge cluster just a little bit. And then you also have the live action of the car in the center here. So if I turn on the hazard lights, you're going to see the hazard lights turn on in that little car. If I turn on the headlights, you're going to see the headlights turn on. So I think that is really, really cool because some people want to know what it's like on the outside of the car and what other people are actually seeing. So that is a good way to do it. Now, everything else is pretty simple. You can change the layouts of the gauge, and you actually do have maps built in. So if you go to gauge layout, you can go to advanced, which is what we have right now, or crafted. I think advanced looks a little bit nicer because, yes, it is more advanced. You can scroll through everything on the right side, including your oil life, your tire pressure, and the SH all-wheel drive. And then you also have the seatbelt readings, which I don't think was available for the 24 model year. You do also get an adjustable head-up display up here. Now let's talk about the materials. So you're going to find some stitched leatherette on the upper dash. You're going to find open pore wood trim up here, and then you're going to find a lot of gloss black through the center area. You might notice that the center console area looks a little bit different, but that is for later. For now, let's talk about the storage. You do have a wireless phone charger right here, and there is no palm rest anymore, so that you don't have to control the trackpad. You have 2 cup holders right here. You have a pretty deep center console. I don't know if it's class leading. I think that belongs to the Lexus TX, but you get 2 USB-C ports in addition to the ones right over here. And it is nicely felt lined, so nothing will get scratched. Additionally, there's a more shallow cubby right here to keep pens or a little bit of money. But now we can talk about the center console area. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the trackpad has been deleted for this 25 model year. So I don't think a lot of people like the trackpad that much. I know my parents didn't really like it when they owned a 2023 MDX, but that really frees up the space here. We get a lot more storage for anything. Right now I put the key fob right there, and I think it looks a little bit more clean. Everything else is basically the same because now we have a touchscreen. Now let's talk about the climate controls. So this is going to be 3-zone on every MDX model. So it's going to be dual zone up front and 1 zone in the back. You can control your fan speed up here, and then you can also play around with the rear settings if you would like. You also get heated and ventilated seats, and you can turn on auto, so it will adjust to whatever the temperature is outside. Right now it decided that 2 stages of ventilated seats are good enough. You also get massaging seats, By holding down on the massage button, you can go ahead and see a bunch of different massages come up. There are about 8 different massages, and I think these have some pretty normal names compared to other brands like Jeep and Ram. They have some pretty interesting names like Waterfall and Rock Climb. This is actually a very good massage sheet because Acura has only been doing this for 3 years. They released it with the 2022 MDX Type S. So they haven't really had that much time to innovate or redesign these massage units, but these are really good. They really get into your back, and it doesn't just gently push at your back. It really gets in there, and I like that. Of course, if you don't like that very much, you can tone down the intensity if you choose. So I think this is a pretty good way to relax on a long road trip. And as you could see, my finger was touching the screen because, like I said earlier, no more trackpad. And to make it better, Acura actually updated the infotainment system by adding built-in Google apps and providing a lot of new welcome features to the software. First of all, a lot of things carry over from the 2024 model year. First of all, the background and the fact that we have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a split-screen setup, Wi-Fi hotspot, and maps built in. As you can see here, we have a lot of Google apps built in. We got the Play Store, we got the Google Assistant, we have Google Maps, and also take a look at how fast this infotainment system is. This is easily class-leading, even better than Audi's infotainment system and Lincoln's Sync 4 infotainment. So you do also have Alexa that carries over from last year's model, and then you have a whole app built in for ambient lighting. So if you turn on the headlights, I know it is kind of hard to see. You can choose the different ambient lighting that you want. You guys probably can't see, but it will appear right around here. Of course, that's going to be way easier to see in the dark, and it will only work when you have the parking lights or the headlights on. I like how they have a special app for that because you would have to go into the vehicle settings before and dig around for that. I think Acura did an amazing job on this infotainment this year, and it's definitely going to last for a while. I just hope that they bring it to the RDX and the TLX sometime soon. And of course, we can't forget about the backup camera. So when you put the car in reverse via the electronic shifter, you're going to find a very high resolution backup camera that pretty much carries over from last year. You do have active trajectory, and you can also choose between a wide and a narrow view. And then when you put the car in drive, and then you push the camera button on the right stalk, you will find a front view along with the 360-degree view. And if you push it again, then that will give you a wheel view just in case, let's say that you're in a tight parking lot and you don't really want to scrape the curb. This is where it is useful. And then you push it again to take the cameras away, and there you have it. Taking a look up top, you're going to find a large panoramic sunroof that can tilt and open the front part. Let's move on to the passenger side and see what it's all about. The door panel will have the same blue leather, open pore wood, and the 3-person memory seats as the driver's side. And the seats will also be the same, with the same leather and suede combo, Type S branding in the headrest, heating, ventilation, massaging, and 16-way power adjusting. Inside, you're going to find a lot of gloss black and a lot of nice leatherettes, which actually looks quite good. There's a little strip of open pore wood and leatherette on the dash. There is 3-person memory seats like I just mentioned, and that is actually very useful. And inside the glove box, you're going to see that it is felt lined and that there is plenty of space. Also, the cover of the glove box is wrapped in leatherettes. Also, there is a power outlet down here, which is something you don't get that often. Let's take a look at the back seats. The door panel looks really nice because you get blue leather, stitching, open pore wood, sunshades, a lot of storage down below, and yes, that is one of the 31 speakers of the Bang & Olufsen sound system. They basically put this anywhere they could find, including all over the door, in the pillars, on the dash, and believe it or not, even on the roof. But back to the second row. As you can see in the middle here, you get a third zone of climate including vents, 3 stages of heated seats, a power outlet, and 2 USB-Cs down below. The middle seat in this car is very special because it isn't like anything else. First of all, you can pull that tab to pull it down and make a center console. You have 2 cup holders and a little bit of storage space in the center. You can also completely remove it to have the full captain's chair experience, just in case you want to customize your second row. Now let's take a look at the third row. Getting in is extremely easy because you can do it with the push of a button. This relies on the battery, but don't worry, if you pull on the lever lightly, it's going to do the exact same thing. The third row is actually pretty disappointing for a luxury car. You don't get that many amenities, and it's really not that comfortable. First of all, you get a plastic armrest over here with 1 cup holder on each side. The window is pretty normal sized, and you get a USB port on both sides, which is also going to be on higher trim levels. The seats are very upright and you don't get vents back there, so it's going to be a little bit toasty. But the cargo area is also a very important part of the MDX, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. To open it up, you're just going to kick your foot right under the middle of the car. That's going to open it right up just like that. Behind the third row, you're going to get 16.3 cubic feet of cargo room, which is a pretty good figure for the class. There are a lot of special things that you could do, and I'm just going to show you a couple of them. There's a hook and a power outlet on this side, and a button so that when you walk away from the trunk will automatically close. But let's talk about this part down here. So you can see that it's made of plastic, which is really not a very fancy material. But that is because if you just got back from the beach and you put your boots on it, it's not really going to mess up anything, and it's very easy to clean. But if you're just getting groceries and you don't really want it to slip around all over the place, you can actually take it out, flip it around, and it's going to be carpet. That is a super smart way of designing this car, and they know that families are going to be doing messy activities together, so a plastic side is the perfect thing. Underfloor storage is rare enough, but you can actually take out this whole thing, or you can just put it at the bottom here so that things don't slide around. Also, you could line it with plastic and put a bunch of water in there if you want a mini kiddie pool. But let's get back to those dimensions. When you fold down the third row, it will go from 16.3 cubic feet to 39.3. And when you fold down the second row, that's going to give you about 71 cubic feet, which is pretty good for the class. If you are keeping tabs on that, that is slightly more than the Audi Q7 and way less than the Lexus TX. There are also multiple ways to close up the trunk, but the most special way is by pushing this button and slowly walking away from the trunk. It will detect that the key fob is no longer under there, so it's going to close right up.